Today's session is very interesting session. It's a session around Sellerapp. In ONDC, basically, we have been doing a lot of sessions. We have covered a lot of introductory sessions. We have covered a lot of sessions where we have gone deep dive into technology. We have done a lot of sessions where we have talked about how ONDC can work with other open networks. We have done a webinar where we said, fashion is coming on ONDC. A lot of activities happening. Just last week, actually this week, we launched Misho on ONDC. Plotch is powering Misho, bringing them onto ONDC. That was something that, a significant activity it happened. Misho is coming as a buyer app. Now, for a lot of people, we have a lot of interest today on the Sellerapp side. So we are going to go deep into basically how to sell on ONDC. ONDC पे कैसे हम बेचेंगे ये हम जानेंगे आज. It's it's something that a lot of people ask us a lot of questions. So what you need to do is basically you need to ask a lot of questions. कोई भी आपके question हो, if you have even a simplest of the question, feel free to ask me. We have we are very well plugged into ONDC ecosystem. So a lot of things we know which you may not be aware. So feel free to ask any questions. It can be any depth or it can be any simple question. Feel free to ask. Uh, the session will start with the basic introduction of ONDC. And I do that in all the sessions because some people join this session, this webinar for the first time. They are hearing about ONDC for the first time. So it's important that they know what is ONDC. ONDC होता क्या है? What is it? बहुत सुना है हमने. इसका a lot of people are talking about it. But what is ONDC and how ONDC can impact my business, how it can grow me, my business, how I can attract more customers, how can I sell can I sell a lot of categories of multiple categories of my products, or is ONDC limited? Is it nations only? Is it launched all over India? A lot of questions we get. Feel free to ask. So first thing, I'll just quickly take you through what is ONDC, just to cover that. One sec, where is my slide here? Yeah. So I'll just skip to the slide where I'll show you what ONDC is. Right. One sec. Yeah. So ONDC is this, what I'm showing on the slide. And this is a slide that I show in all the webinars. So आपका business, जैसे कोई B2C business है आपका, if it's a B2C business, right? So ONDC ने क्या किया है कि उसको split कर दिया है, divide कर दिया है उसको, right? और इसलिए किया है कि so that lot of people can participate, right? So B side एक side चला गया और C साइड एक साइड चला गया, मतलब कस्टमर पार्ट एक साइड चला गया और सप्लायर एक साइड चला गया, राइट? और इन दोनों को जोड़ा है ONDC ने API से. बेसिकली API इज अ टेक्नोलॉजी वाला टर्म है, बट there is a technology thing which is happening in between, which is basically helping connect the B and the C part, right? The one of the important things which you'll realize as you split two businesses, a B2C into two part, is that business की complexity आधी हो जाती है. Business is much simpler. E-commerce is much simpler, and that's why it is so easy for a lot of people to join ONDC. Because if I'm a seller, if I'm selling, अगर मैं कुछ बेच रहा हूँ, तो मुझे सिर्फ बेचने पे ध्यान देना है. I don't need a website. I don't need to care about getting customers, refunds, customer care, and all those things. Like, अगर मेरा strength कस्टमर साइड है, मेरे पास कुछ कस्टमर्स हैं, राइट। सो मुझे सप्लाई की चिंता नहीं करनी, मुझे सिर्फ एक वेबसाइट बनाना है और सप्लाई ऑटोमेटिकली आएगी, राइट, ओएनडीसी से, राइट। सो one of the most important thing which you have to understand is that it's split, and then there is a API which is connecting, right? And each of the ecosystem is actually playing to their strength. जो उनकी strength है उस पे वो play कर रहे हैं, right? So the most important question will, if you enter ONDC, is first thing people will ask कि आपको आपका रोल क्या है, आपको बायर ऐप बनना है कि सेलर ऐप बनना है, राइट। तो बायर ऐप कौन होते हैं? पीपल हु हैव लॉट ऑफ ट्रैफिक, फॉर एग्जांपल पेटीएम इज अ बायर ऐप, मीशो इज अ बायर ऐप, फोन पे which is coming is a buyer app. There are a lot of traffic, millions of traffic, right? So they are looking at ONDC from a supply perspective. I will create a buyer app and get millions of products which are getting uploaded on ONDC onto my buyer app platform, right? And seller app will be someone who's aggregating supply. Now, you can be a seller app, or you can be an aggregator of local kirana walas, retailers, sellers across India. Particular category ले ली आपने, उसमें आप sellers को लेके supply लेके आ रहे हैं. So you can be a seller app, you can be buyer app, you can also be both. No one prevents you from being both. So a lot of buyer apps which we are bringing, a lot of seller apps we are bringing. They're thinking of becoming both buyer app and seller app. So this is basically what ONDC is. Now this session is about seller app. This is not about buyer app. I'm not going to talk about buyer app. I'm going to talk about कि आप sell कैसे कर सकते हैं. How can you be a seller app on ONDC or a seller on ONDC? There's a difference between seller app and seller, which I will tell you what is the difference and how you can sell on ONDC. And then questions about product price, dispatch, operations, questions about compliances, question about payout, payment terms, returns conditions, cancel conditions. All those things are there, which we can deep dive. We will actually deep dive. But the 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 platform that I'm going to use to show demo and basically show you the flow is going to be Plotch, because that's a platform that we own. And you, after this demo, feel free to use Plotch platform. Feel free to become a seller and upload products. Play around. We will provide you the link so that you can actually get the feel of how to sell on ONDC kind of stuff. Right. Now, I'll skip all this part and I come straight to uh, how do you register as a seller. Now basically, if in this ecosystem there's a customer which basically who buys a product, who buys from a buyer app. The buyer app gets the product from seller app, and the seller app basically has sellers behind it, right? Can have multiple sellers, right? So most of you will be a seller. uh, what I'm assuming is you're going to be seller, which means that you have products, you have some supply at your hand, and you can dispatch the product. These are the two capabilities that you need, कि आपके पास प्रोडक्ट होना चाहिए और आप उसको डिस्पैच कर पाए. Dispatch in the man कि पैकेजिंग कर पाए. Now not necessarily you may have a logistics courier company integrations and those kind of stuff. वो जरूरी नहीं है. But you should be able to pack it and give it to the courier person so that he can take it, right? So that is expected from a seller. If you are selling food items, you need to have FSSAI certificate. That is mandatory in ONDC, right? If you're a restaurant, you need a FSSAI certificate. So anything related to food, you need FSSAI certificate. Now, the first journey that you will have as a seller. Any questions anyone has, feel free to ask. I'll answer some questions in between and some questions if I find relevant in during the conversation. So basically, one thing you do is you uh, s- one thing you do is basically subscribe to you. Once you to become basically, if you're a seller, you need in the Plotch platform. Now, this is specific to Plotch platform is that you need to subscribe to a seller app, which is basically ONDC compliant. Now, these seller apps are there in the market. So you can choose any seller app. You don't need to use only a particular seller app. The good part of ONDC is to sell on ONDC, you need to be present only at one seller. आप एक seller app पे register करिए, आप सारे buyer app पे visible होंगे. Right. So you don't need to be on seller app A, seller app B, seller app C. Like you don't have to be on Flipkart, Amazon, all those things that you do regularly. कि आपको लिस्ट फ्लिपकार्ट पे भी करना पड़ता है, अमेजोन पे भी करता है, मीशो भी करना है, स्नैपडील पे भी करना है. ऐसा ओएनडीसी पे नहीं है. आपको सिर्फ एक सेलर ऐप पे के थ्रू ओएनडीसी में आइए, आप सारे बायर ऐप पे विजिबल हो जाएंगे, विच इज अ बिग थिंग from a simplicity perspective. Right? Now, uh, basically, once you as a seller, once you subscribe to a seller app, they will approve you. And now, what would they usually look? Seller app आप एज ए seller से क्या एक्सपेक्ट करेगा? कुछ केवाईसी डॉक्यूमेंट शायद उनको चाहिए होंगे, like your GST certificate, like your PAN card. They might even ask for, they will ask, definitely ask for your bank details so that they can pay you. So they might ask a cancel check, right? Now this process of KYC is specific to seller app. कोई seller app के strict conditions होंगे, कोई seller app के lenient conditions होंगे, right? If your revenue is less than 40 lakh, I think now you can confirm that. I think you don't need GST. Uh, so there is no requirement that you need to have GST if your revenue through e-commerce is less than 40 lakh. But generally people will ask for GST information. So it's good to have a GST certificate and registration if you want to sell on ONDC. This is your registration flow, right? Generally, this process is very simple. There's no requirement here. After you register onto a seller app, right, you will have to upload your product and inventory. This is two basic things that they would expect from you. कि आप आपका product push करो और आपका inventory push करो उन seller app, right? And seller app may have a process कि वो approve करेंगे आपका या फिर वो automatically push हो जाएगा ONDC पे. But they usually, at least in Plotch, what happens is कि seller app will approve your product, each and every product, because एक important चीज आ रही है ONDC में, which is ONDC score. ONDC score is going to be your rating on ONDC, right? So अभी seller को rate किया जाएगा, बाद में seller app और buyer app को भी rate किया जाएगा, और हो सकता है कि customer को भी rate किया जाए, right? So everyone may have eventually, all of them will have ratings. And rating is going to be very, very important if you want to sell on ONDC. And ratings ONDC में ऐसा नहीं है कि आप एक साल बाद आओगे और बोलोगे कि I can come on the top of the listing. ऐसा नहीं होगा. Rating पे sorting allowed है ONDC में. So आपका rating अगर low है तो आप कभी भी ऊपर नहीं आ पाओगे, right? या आपके number of ratings कम है तो भी आप शायद ऊपर नहीं आ पाओगे. So it's important to join ONDC as soon as possible so that you can start to accumulate ratings, good ratings. Uh, so that is something that is the second step. The first step आपने register कर लिया seller app पे, right? Second step है कि आपने product inventory push कर दी seller app, right? Now तीसरा क्वेश्चन लाता है लोगों के दिमाग में कि what is product price? How do I price my product? Right? Now, product price is usually a combination of transfer price. Now, transfer price is something that is a concept some of you may know, some of you may not know. Is basically what you expecting as the payment from the seller app. कि मुझे 50 रुपए इस प्रोडक्ट के आप seller app मुझे दे दो, आप जितने बेचना चाहो बेच दो उसको. Is a kind of concept that transfer price is usually. So the product price is you can basically the combination of is transfer price which seller is expecting from seller app plus seller app ka fees plus buyer app ka fees, right? So this all these three will form the component of the product price. Now if you have MRP products, right? So you will have to then back calculate and then calculate what you will get after deduction of buyer app fee and seller app fee, what you will get, right? अगर आप buy seller app fees, you want to avoid seller app fees, you can join directly ONDC also, right? As a seller app. No one prevents, no one is saying that you cannot directly come on as a seller app. Only problem with coming directly as seller app is उसमें आपको technology solution चाहिए होगा, which can be, little bit more than, costly and those kind of stuff. And there is a process of becoming a network participant of ONDC, which might take 3 to 6 months. तो आज आपको sell करना है, the best thing is to as a seller use a seller app to get into ONDC. अगर आपको कमीशन बचाना है seller app का, तो आप डायरेक्टली ONDC में आ जाइए, आपको सिर्फ buyer app fee देनी पड़ेगी, seller app fee नहीं देनी. That option is also there, right? And these options are important because then you will start to think कि मैं seller बनूं कि seller app बनूं. Right? So I'm just putting that down here right now. What customer pays now, product price is not the only thing that as a seller you will say कि मेरा product का price है. You can also specify charges and packaging charges, and customer will pay product price, shipping, and packaging. These three things you can specify in ONDC when you upload a product. कि आपको shipping charges क्या लगाना है customer पे, आपको packaging charges क्या लगाना है customer पे. So what you will get is something that now important thing is कि buyer app का fee, जो buyer app का commission होता है, जो भी 3% है, 5% है, 10% है, जो भी buyer app commission charge करेगा, वो customer के payment पे charge होता है. वो product price सिर्फ product price पे नहीं होता है, right? तो आप कमीशन इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है क्योंकि कुछ लोग ये मिस कर देते हैं. कमीशन आपका शिपिंग पे भी लग रहा है और आपका पैकेजिंग चार्ज पे भी लग रहा है बायर ऐप का. तो यू हैव टू थिंक अबाउट शिपिंग चार्ज ऑल्सो कि अगर मैं 50 रुपये शिपिंग चार्ज ले रहा हूँ तो उसमें हो सकता है मुझे 45 रुपये मिले क्योंकि 5 रुपये बायर ऐप के पास रहेगा 10% अगर उसकी कमीशन. These are important concepts because this will impact your margin, this will impact your uh, uh, your profitability and how you price your product, how do you put your shipping charges, how do you put your packaging charges. तो buyer app fees को मत भूलना, shipping charges और packaging charges लगाते वक्त भी, right? This is something that I thought I'll specify. Now taxation पे आते हैं. I'll take another 10 minutes and then I'll show you the demo also, because that is important for you to show all whatever I'm talking You actually can see that happening. Tax invoice seller app कस्टमर को करता है, सेलर ऐप नहीं करता, बायर ऐप नहीं करता, राइट. सो इनवॉइसिंग आपकी होगी, सेलर की, कस्टमर. तो आप जब पैकेज करके आप दोगे कुरियर को, तो वो पैकेज पे आपको आपका इनवॉइस डालना पड़ेगा. सेलर इनवॉइसेस द कस्टमर, is not the seller app and the buyer app. It's very important because the GST implications as a seller. आप GST collect करें from the customer and you have to then, you know, basically it becomes part of your GST compliance. Buyer find a fee. Buyer app एक फीस लेता है, राइट. उसमें सेलर का एक्चुअली फ्रॉम अ कंप्लायंस पर्सपेक्टिव सेलर का काम कुछ नहीं होता, क्योंकि बायर ऐप इनवॉइस रेस करता है सेलर ऐप पे और सेलर ऐप उसको कमीशन देता है. तो सेलर का कोई काम नहीं उसमें. यू विल नॉट गेट अ इनवॉइस फ्रॉम बायर ऐप इफ यू आर अ सेलर. TDS एंड TCS का एक ध्यान रखना, because as an e-commerce operator 1% of TDS and 1% of TCS seller app may deduct while paying. Now अगर आपका कमीशन बहुत ज़्यादा है, मान लो आप 30-40% पर हैं, तो 1-2% आपका TDS TCS डिडक्ट हो गया, तो फर्क इतना नहीं पड़ेगा. और आपका मार्जिन कम है, 5% है, उसमें 2% अगर रख लिया तो कैश फ्लो के इश्यूज होते हैं. सो इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड that TDS and TCS might be deducted. Of course, you will get a credit of it. आपको TDS का क्रेडिट और TCS का क्रेडिट बाद में मिलेगा, बट फ्रॉम ए कैश फ्लो पर्सपेक्टिव हो सकता है 2% आपको कम आए. Most likely it will happen because this is what as an e-commerce operator is what you need to do. ये सब important concepts हैं, pricing के concepts हैं. It impacts how much money you get. It impacts how much you can charge to customer, what your product pricing is. So keep it, you know, keep these points in mind. I'll just quickly tell you this flow, which basically may be applicable also to you. अगर 100 रुपये कस्टमर से आ रहा है और बायर ऐप का फीस 3% है, तो 3% प्लस GST on 3%, which is 0.54 rupees, 3.54 rupees बायर ऐप अपने पास रखेगा. 1 रुपया TDS, 100 रुपये पे 1 रुपया TDS रखेगा और TCS of 1 rupee. So you mota will get about 94 to 95 rupees, even though the buyer app commission is 3%, because 2% TDS or TCS buyer app. In your case seller app, ये मैंने जो स्लाइड दिखाई वो बायर ऐप और सेलर ऐप के बीच में है, बट ये सिमिलर ही स्लाइड सेलर ऐप और सेलर के बीच में भी होगी, क्योंकि सेलर ऐप इज ऑल्सो in some ways an e-commerce operator, right? So TDS and TCS rules may still apply to seller app. I'll just skip that. The filings requirement as a seller app, but since you're a seller, you might have just have a GST compliance, which you might have to look at. This is a serviceability construct, which means that in ONDC, as a seller, you can say कि मेरा स्टोर मैं डिलीवरी सिर्फ 15 किलोमीटर ही कर सकता हूँ. मेरा प्रोडक्ट फ्रेश है, मेरा प्रोडक्ट हैज़ अ शेल्फ लाइफ. सो 15 किलोमीटर या 5 किलोमीटर से बाहर की डिलीवरी पॉसिबल नहीं है. मे बी पिज़्ज़ा, यू मे बी अ रेस्टोरेंट, सो यू अ पिज़्ज़ा विच यू कैन नॉट डिलीवर मोर देन 10 किलोमीटर, राइट. दिस यू कैन स्पेसिफाई इन ONDC. आप बोल सकते हैं कि मेरी डिलीवरी रेडियस क्या है. आप ये भी बोल सकते हैं कि मेरे स्टोर के टाइमिंग्स क्या है, कि मैं संडे को मैं नहीं बेचता हूँ प्रोडक्ट, डिलीवर नहीं करता हूँ, मैं ऑर्डर नहीं लेना चाहता संडे को. सो आप बोल सकते हो. आप आपके ऑपरेटिंग आवर्स भी बोल सकते हो कि आई विल ऑपरेट ओनली फ्रॉम 10 AM to 10 PM इन द नाइट. 10 से 10 ही मेरी शॉप ओपन रहती है. उसके मतलब रात को मैं ऑर्डर्स नहीं लेता, मैं सुबह ऑर्डर नहीं लेता, अर्ली मॉर्निंग. All those things you can specify in ONDC as a seller. All those things are possible. ना इसके अलावा और क्या आप बोल सकते हैं? आप ये बोल सकते हैं एज ए सेलर कि मैं भाई रिटर्न नहीं लेता हूँ. I don't take returns. My products are not returnable. या फिर आप ये बोल सकते हैं कि एक बार ऑर्डर आ गया तो आप कैंसिल नहीं कर सकते भाई. तो माई प्रोडक्ट्स आर नॉट कैंसिलेबल. मेरा पिज्जा का ऑर्डर आ गया, वो तो चला गया ओवन में, अब मैं कैंसिल कर सकता हूँ. सो इट्स नॉट कैंसिलेबल, राइट. सो यू कैन स्पेसिफाई कि आप रिटर्न लेते नहीं है. मतलब एक बार गया प्रोडक्ट, डिलीवरी हो गई, अब भाई रिटर्न मत ले, मैं रिटर्न नहीं ले सकता. एक बार ऑर्डर आ गया, आप कैंसिल मत कर सकते आप. ऑल दोज थिंग्स यू कैन स्पेसिफाई इन ओएनडीसी एज ए सेलर. एज ए सेलर यू कैन स्पेसिफाई ऑन ईच एंड एवरी प्रोडक्ट. तो एक प्रोडक्ट है जिसपे आप कैंसिल ले सकते हैं, मे बी कुर्ती है, तो आप बोलोगे कुर्ती पे ठीक है कैंसिल अलाउ करता हूँ. तो पिज्ज़ा पे मैं अलाउ नहीं करूँगा कैंसिल. तो प्रोडक्ट वाइज यू कैन स्पेसिफाई whether you can return or cancel कर सकते हैं, right. These are important things from you as a seller, as a businessman. क्योंकि आप कोई क्वेश्चंस आते होंगे कि मेरे को फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी है कि नहीं, whether I can have that flexibility or this flexibility or those questions. All those flexibilities are there for you to sell. So those are things which I thought I'll discuss. Hopefully कुछ तो concepts clear हो गए होंगे आपको. Some concepts have been clear. There are a lot of things which are also which I have not talked about, which are important. If I'll just take few questions now. First question is, who is creating categories in ONDC? Is it seller who creates categories like that in Zomato, or are there going to be standard categories for shops to choose from? Standard categories is what ONDC is specifying. So ONDC has grocery में they have specified कि ये categories हैं. Food and beverages में ये category है. Fashion में ये categories है. वो specify, they are specifying all that. And as seller, you have to upload only in those categories. क्योंकि वो information buyer app को जाती है. एंड बायर ऐप को पता होना चाहिए कि भाई ये ही कैटेगरी है. कोई ऐसा नहीं है कोई अल्फा बीटा गामा कोई कैटेगरी बना दी किसी ने, उसको फिर समझ में नहीं आ रही कि कैटेगरी क्या है. सो कैटेगरीज आर स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड इन ONDC बाय ONDC. I'll take the second question. If we are allowed on all platforms, then GST is compulsory. As I said, now there is a rule and you should independently verify that अगर आपका 40 लाख का सेल है साल का, तो आपको GST ई-कॉमर्स के लिए नहीं चाहिए. So GST may not be compulsory as a seller. As a seller app, it's compulsory. As a seller, it may not be compulsory. What is the process for COD payment settlement in case of seller app, buyer app, and third party delivery who actually collected the cash and delivered the order? COD अभी ONDC में है ही नहीं. ONDC में सिर्फ prepaid है. Only prepaid is allowed in ONDC right now. No COD orders as of today, right? So COD is something that I think we can cover in the future sessions, because seller dispatch करता है, seller app takes care of logistics. The payment will actually come for COD orders, it will come to seller app. While in prepaid, the payment from customer will come to the buyer app. Prepaid और COD में payment का बहुत बड़ा difference है. एक भी पेमेंट सेलर ऐप को आएगा, एक वन it will come to buyer app. So there will be a different flow altogether. But today, COD is not allowed in ONDC right now. So if we connect our Amazon, Flipkart, etc. to our ONDC platform, and then we can push products from our ONDC platform to these marketplaces, from our ONDC platform to see. I'm not able to understand the questions. You're saying that ONDC, if you want to take products from ONDC and sell on Amazon, now there might be copyright issues if you do that. That I'm taking someone else's product and selling on Amazon. If the question is, can my Amazon and Flipkart products be sold on ONDC? Yes, that you can do. That you can do. If you're selling on Amazon and Flipkart, you can take those products and sell on ONDC. There's no challenge that. How to get rating and when we are new on it. How to get rating when we new it? It's a very good question. A very good question. Now, जब भी आप किसी प्लेटफॉर्म पे जाते हैं, you know, and ONDC is not a platform, ONDC is a network, but in network, if you go on Amazon or Flipkart, which are the platform, uh, first time getting rating is difficult. It takes time. It takes time. Right? So that's why if you want to be successful in ONDC, कुछ लोग बोलते हैं कि 1 साल बाद आते हैं, when the ONDC will be much bigger and let me just for next 1 year I will not do anything. I keep telling them, don't underestimate the power of rating. To start today, collect the ratings. 1 year from now, there will be so many sellers who will be new that you will not be able to get ratings. Your product will not be visible in the buyer apps. So rating is going to be important criteria to list, to show on the top. So start today. Now today, when I say, if you ask me today, there's no ONDC score right now. So that if you ask me today, can I get a rating? No, that is not there. But within a month, it will be there. Right? You're not looking at a year from now. Right? So, and if you start today, एक महीना तो ONDC में process में and Sellerapp and all those things में लग जाता. So start today. Think about ONDC today. ONDC is going to be an important channel of sales. 100 crore orders ONDC पे per month आने की आकांक्षा, there's expectation that 100 crore orders will come every day on ONDC. It is going to be the primary channel of e-commerce in India in next 3 to 5 years. So plan करो उसको. It's very important that you plan your ONDC journey. How the economy flows within the ONDC. I'm not sure how the economy flows within the ONDC. I've told about the buyer app fees. I've told about the seller app fees. Told about shipping, packaging charges. I've told about TDS and TCS, the payment flows. I think the combination of this is, I'm assuming, is what you're referring to. People have requested that I continue in English. I'll try to continue in English. So basically, it's not that I have to use both languages, Hindi and English. Some people in the webinar actually are sellers who are not well conversed with English. So that's why I try to make it. I try to use some sentence in Hindi so that some people can understand what I'm trying to say. Shall I restrict some buyer app listing my products? Yeah, you can restrict as a seller. You can say, I don't want to be available on certain buyer apps. And you may have a certain perception कि ये पैसा नहीं देता तो मैं उसको नहीं जाना. That you can specify. Your seller app should be able to give you the flexibility कि मुझे इस buyer app पे ब्रॉडकास्ट नहीं करना है मेरा प्रोडक्ट। बायर ऐप को फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी नहीं है। बायर ऐप हैज टू शो अ सेलर ऐप, अ सेलर प्रोडक्ट। वो ऐसे नहीं बोल सकता इस सेलर का मैं नहीं दिखाऊंगा, उस सेलर का दिखाऊंगा। And the reason is ONDC is created so that there is a level playing field for everyone. We have seen in Amazon and Flipkart that some sellers become so big that छोटे-छोटे sellers, किराना वाला, all those things, वो कभी sell ही नहीं कर पाते. So ONDC is a democratic system. It is a system designed for smallest of the entity. It is going to be a large ecosystem, but designed for the smallest. So yes, as a seller, you have flexibility कि आप किस पे आपका प्रोडक्ट ब्रॉडकास्ट मतलब वो आप चूज कर सकते हो। आपका सेलर ऐप आपको वो कॉन्फ़िगरेशन दे सकता है कि वही मुझे पेटीएम पे नहीं दिखाना, बट ठीक है मैं फोन पे भी दिखा दूँ फॉर एग्जाम्पल, राइट। वो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी दे सकता है। बायर ऐप को फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी नहीं है कि मैं XYZ सेलर का प्रोडक्ट दिखाता हूँ पर XYZ ABC का प्रोडक्ट नहीं दिखाता, ऐसा वो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी नहीं है। उनको दोनों के प्रोडक्ट दिखाने ही। So, can buyer app and seller app block particular customer seller from getting onto ONDC platforms? Can buyer app and seller app block particular customer seller? No, buyer, as I said, buyer app cannot block any seller unless the rating is bad. If the rating is bad, then it's fine. Because if rating as a buyer app, I will not want any seller who doesn't sell good products to come in. Only the rating, and the other criteria is this category. Now it may be that as a buyer app, I only focus on fashion. So I can say I will only cater to fashion category. That is fine. But in fashion category, I cannot say XYZ seller I will show and ABC seller I will not show. So yeah, so I think I had answered that question. How customer will purchase from ONDC? I mean, what will be the user interface? I'll show that during a demo. I'll show you, the user interface. The inventory changes that happens at the seller app is real time visible to the buyer app. Yes, it should be. It should be, and yes, it is. For a marketplace opting for seller app, can I direct the orders to my sellers for shipping it themselves? Yes. You can say that, as a marketplace, I will ask my sellers to dispatch. I'll not take care of the logistics. Most of the marketplaces actually take care of the logistics because they want to control the customer experience and those kind of stuff. But in this case, you can say that I'll only, as a seller app, I'll give the orders to sellers and let them dispatch. They want to do hand delivery. They want to do, use a Dunzo kind of player to dispatch and those kind of. That is their choice. But I will not get into logistics. How payment gateway will work in ONDC? How payment gateway will work in payment gateway will come on the buyer app side. So it's the same, if you have Razor Pay or PayU or cash free or whatever, payment gateway is there, Paytm. The payment gateway integration is on the buyer app side because the seller app doesn't have a website. Seller app doesn't have a website. What's the role of Plotch when it comes to ONDC? Plotch is a technology service provider, TSP, technology service provider. So there's a buyer app, there's a seller app. We play a role of technology service provider, which means that we are not a buyer app and we are not a seller app, but we have a technology that if you want to become a buyer app or if you want to become a seller app, we have the technology. So we have been able to bring, 4 buyer apps onto ONDC, starting from Misho, IDFC Bank, you know, Craftzilla, Spice Money, and there are a lot of other buyer apps which are coming, uh, uh, which will be powered by Plotch. Yes. Can Plotch help us provide technology support to become? Yes, we can help you. We or go to live for Sellerapp is 3 weeks. For buyer app is 2 weeks. We actually make you basically become part of ONDC very very quickly. So yeah. When ONDC will be active pan India? Actually, ONDC is pan India. There's no major restriction. No, as a seller, if you are able to deliver across India, you you pretty much you know they are available in all buyer apps. Right? If you deliver across India, you will be by default available in all buyer apps. If you only deliver in particular cities, is when the issues start to come in. That if you are in Panipat, for example, now Panipat ONDC has not yet enabled from a broadcast perspective. So that's where, let's say if you're a restaurant in Panipat, you today it might be difficult for you to join ONDC. But if you're a seller selling sarees and jewelry and tops and electronics, mobile across all India, you can participate even today. That's not a challenge. As a seller app, can I specify which buyer app I want to show my products? Yeah. As I said, you have a choice. As a seller, you can decide that. For example, some buyer app may have 20% commission. I don't want to sell to that buyer app who has 20% commission. I don't want. I only want to sell on those buyer apps where the commission is less than 10%. That you can do in ONDC. Does ONDC have policies to govern if any platform is charging more than normal fee? Well, there's a guidance ONDC is sort of giving that, what commissions in these categories. Generally, those guidance are there. For example, grocery, 3% is a good buyer commission fee. On fashion, maybe 8% is a good commission fee. But there's no policy to say this is the cap and those kind of stuff. ONDC with respect to the buyer app fees. Where does the data live in ONDC? Is that real time or the persistent? So data in ONDC, there's no central storage of data in ONDC. ONDC doesn't store any data. Either the data is on the buyer app side or the seller app side. Any personal information is not broadcasted to all the buyer apps or seller apps. So if there's any transaction which is happening, it is peer to peer, which means one buyer app to one seller app. So if one order is created of Manoj Gupta, it will be on, let's say I went to Paytm and I ordered something. So my data will be only there on Paytm and the seller app from which I bought. So it will not be available on PhonePe unless I buy from PhonePe. So okay, so how a third-party delivery service managed in ONDC network? So in ONDC, there are two types of uh, network logistics choices that you have. One is off network and one is on network. Now, if you are a courier company, you can actually participate in the logistics network of ONDC, where already delivery, Shiprocket, Dunzo, Loadshare, all those people are there. So you can participate there, or you can directly go to Sellerapp, and you may have a fixed contract, which usually people have as a marketplace, for example, you have contract with logistics company or a e-commerce company or contract with logistics company like delivery and those kinds of, you can have that too. Is there any provision that a seller can deny to serve a buyer? Is there a provision that a seller can deny to serve a buyer? Seller can deny to serve a buyer. You mean basically you can say that I don't want to uh, you, yeah, as a seller, you can cancel an order. That option you have. That if your order has come, you can say, I don't have the product or my product is out of stock. You can cancel an order. That's not a challenge. Okay, I think I have how the rating of the seller be calculated. Okay, before that, if I switch Sellerapp, will my seller score change to 0? No, basically your seller rating is not going to change if you switch from one seller app to another seller app. That is not there. That will not get changed. How the rating of the seller be calculated? Basically, there's a the people are there's that ONDC score algorithm is still getting worked out. So it will be based on multiple layer. It's going to be a lot of layering of it's going to be layered score, which means that logistics. What is the experience of logistics? How was the packaging? What was the quality of the product? um, how was the payment experience? So there's going to be a lot of things which are going to form a part of a rating which will be collected from the customer. The details are still, people are still working on it. And we will, of course, do a session on ONDC score as soon as we get more clarity on it. I think most of the questions I answered. I'll continue now to a demo. Quickly, I'll show the demo. So basically, as I said, there's a seller which basically is pushing the product and inventory to a seller app, and that seller app then is the product on seller app is going to become visible on the buyer app, and someone will buy on the buyer app, and then the order flow will come to seller app and eventually to the seller, right? This is usually the flow. Now what I'm showing you, because we don't have, we're almost out of time, is the seller plate. Now as a seller, at least in Plotch, now this is specific to Plotch, is that you will come to a tab which says marketplace. We are using the marketplace word, but it pretty much means the seller app, right? So this is the seller app which is available currently for you to subscribe to. So if before you subscribe, you will have to create a seller profile in Plotch. Right? I don't have the time right now to create profile and show it to you, but what that seller profile has is I'll just quickly show what the seller profile has, so that you know what is collected. Is basically your GST details, your pickup addresses, your contact details, and those kind of stuff, right? Which so as a seller, you will fill all these things like what brand do you want to display on ONDC. The important thing is ONDC, your name will be visible, not the seller app's name to customer. So it's important that you have your good display name if you are a brand. Your PAN number, your GST number, then you might have to upload your GST certificate and those kind of stuff, and your billing, billing address, your delivery address, your pickup address. All those things are basically this how you create a seller app. Once you create the seller profile, sorry, once you create the seller profile, then you basically when you subscribe, you have to select a seller profile here, and this is automatically created for you, and you subscribe. Right. With this, the seller app will get your subscription request, right? So let's say I'm going to show you the seller app interface here, which is going to be pretty much similar because we're using the Plotch platform here. Is that you will see as a seller app, it will see a subscription request, and it will approve it or disapprove it or reject it and those kind of stuff, right? So this is basically where the subscription request comes, and seller app will approve or disapprove. Now, this is the first part I said, which is where you have to create a seller profile, you have to subscribe, and then the seller app will approve. So seller app here, basically, since everything is approved, there's nothing here, but someone will have a tick mark here that approve this subscription, right? Once that is done, you basically, as a seller, we will upload a product, right? So you will come here and basically you will add a product, and in this product you basically now, since you're using Plotch, select a category, and here in Plotch basically there's a good function that you can pre-fill with last product. So you can actually, if your product details are not changing, you can fill the whole detail with your pre-fill with last product. So it will just pull the product information, and then you can change the product name and pricing, and all those details are there. And this is where you also put in, whether your products are available on COD, for example. You can also say, for example, whether it's returnable or not, right? You can say it's returnable or not. You can also say whether it's cancelable or not, right? So I can say it's cancelable. I can say yes or no. I can do that. And so there are a lot of things that here you can put your HSN code so that GST calculations are taken care of, this kind of stuff. And you can upload multiple images. I have uploaded only one, but you can upload multiple images. Just make it reliable, yes. And then I'll just say, and you add the product. Once you add the product, you basically need to then push this product to seller app because you're a seller, right? So what you will do in Plotch, what you will do is you will come here, you will say action, go to action and push to marketplace. And then you'll select in here basically the name of the seller app here is Kapsala. So you say masala and spices and push to marketplace. Now, once this is pushed here, the seller app will see this product and they can approve or reject this product. Right? So here, basically in this, which is the seller app, they'll see this product and they can approve or reject this. So in this case, I'll just approve it, this product. Right. Now, this product has been approved. So as a seller, now I can basically upload my inventory, right? Now it takes like 10 to 15 seconds for this to basically be live in Seller app, right? So I'll just wait for 10 seconds more for it to be live here. Uh, and after that, basically you can upload your inventory in the seller. It will get automatically synced to Seller. While this is happening, basically I'll show you how the inventory is updated. Here in Plotch, you have to basically select your inventory. And once you select the inventory, you can basically very simply just change whatever inventory you want to change. And you can click it here. I'll just check here whether the product has come. Yeah, so this product that we uploaded here has come now. This is the new tool that we uploaded. And I'll then change the inventory here to, let's say, 10. And then here also in the Sellerapp, the inventory should become 10. This is how the inventory is synced. This is how the product is pushed, approved, subscription is, see the inventory is 10. We change the inventory to 11. The inventory in Sellerapp will also be 11. Yeah, it is 11, right? So it's synced immediately. Now the key question is whether this product which we have, here, now we use Meesho buyer app. We're going to use Meesho buyer app. This is the buyer app. Now someone asked me whether how will the buyer app look like. The buyer app will look very similar to any website, e-commerce website that you go to, right? It's not going to be very different. So here the first thing you do is basically you will have to say where the customer is. So you, as you go in Swiggy, Zomato, you have to enter, what my address is, and then it will show you all the stores near you and those kind of stuff. Similar thing is in ONDC buyer app. In any buyer app, you will see they will 99% ask you for a location of your. So which is what I put here. Now I'll just search for popcorn that we uploaded. So a lot of popcorns here. This is the popcorn that we uploaded. And this is what I was telling you that I have specified here that my working hours is from 5:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. And basically, there's, I think, some input issues here. Not 5:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. Someone has, I think, let's look at this one. Not put the right data there. For example, here, it's 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And basically, I've said I deliver up to 15 kilometers. That's basically my delivery address. This is my address, and this is basically is my working days. And this is my FSSAI. It's a dummy FSI right now because it's all test data. And here I've said is the cancelable is no. All what I was specified, returnable is yes. All that is here. And basically anyone can buy a product. There's no difference here from customer buying experience perspective. So customer this is a buyer app, and I'm being a customer, I'm seeing all these things. Right. So it's non-cancelable, so it's showing me non-cancelable. And this order will be visible into my Sellerapp. Actually, I'm out of time, so I'm just gonna skip quickly. But this will be available in my Sellerapp because order has through ONDC network, it has flown from Meesho to this Sellerapp. Right. So that's how the whole ecosystem works. That I order this popcorn and it's visible here, right? So those are the things I wanted to cover. Unfortunately, we are out of time. I'll take few more quick questions, and then we will try to wrap it up. So, bu- one second, I'm just. What is the settlement time currently followed by the NP? So settlement is primarily return period plus 2. Now return period is something that you as a seller specify कि मेरा return period क्या है. If I take return, if I don't take return, then return period is 0. But if I take return, I will only take return in 7 days, right? So you will get paid 7 plus 2 days, which is 9 days after the delivery of the product, right? So be careful about your return period because it can impact on your settlement time, when the payment will come. So be careful about that. Uh, can there be a reseller option to my sales team? Well, on the buyer app, some buyer apps may have a reseller option. That is left to them, how they acquire customer. So on the buyer app side, you can have a reseller option. Of course, on the seller app side, it will not be there, but on the buyer app side, buyer app can say that I want to give a reselling option. Who will handle the cancellations and return, buyer app or seller app? So return pickup and return flow is managed by the seller app or the seller, depending on the arrangement you have, whether the seller app or seller. The refund will be handled by the buyer app, right? And the cancellation can happen from the customer. Cancellation can happen from the seller, or the system can also cancel. The buyer app automatically can also cancel. Let's say a seller has not dispatched the product for, let's say, after 7 days, product has not been dispatched, and customer has not cancelled. The system, the buyer app automatically will have to cancel the order and refund the customer. So the three cancellations can happen either by the buyer. Buyer can say, I want to cancel if the cancellation option is there. Or seller can cancel because I don't have product. Right? Now, it's not that you can keep on canceling the product because that can impact your score, your ONDC score, right? So you have to be careful about cancellations. And ONDC is going to be very, very strict about cancellation. So I hope I was able to answer that question. In this case, how is the inventory got managed if the buyer buys the product? How is the inventory got managed if the buyer buys the product? Basically, any inventory is uh, is communicated by the seller and the seller app to buyer app. So inventory is communicated. There is a field called available quantity in the ONDC where the available quantity is communicated by the seller app to the buyer. This is the inventory that I have for this product. Do customer need to go to a different buyer app website to purchase, or do they need to only search for ONDC? No, the customer can go to any buyer app. They can go to PhonePe or Paytm or Meesho or IDFC Bank, Craftsilla. They can go to any buyer app. Now, some buyer app will show only certain category of products. But for a particular category, the product will be same on all the buyer apps. So fashion category, the product uh, visible in fashion category will be same on PhonePe, Paytm, all those things, right? Because it's designed that way. As a buyer app, you have access to all the ONDC supply. So those are the questions I had. Now, hopefully the session was useful to all of you. And we will, of course, keep on doing more sessions on selling and buying and compliances and technology in ONDC so that you are all familiar with ONDC as much as possible. thank you for attending the session. It was pleasure hosting the session.